Yeah.
All right, now we're live on Facebook. Yeah,
all right.
We now have an internet connection.
Now I can share this thing.
Yep.
If you're watching live, we've been lamenting our one bottleneck now. We think we have one problem, and that's the our headphone splitter around here. At Kade, at Dakota, tagging everybody.
Me. Oh gosh.
At Councilman. He's Councilman Clay, or is it Clay Morgan Councilman?
No,
there it is.
Clay Morgan, Councilman. Yeah.
Why did you get rid of all of your old people? You had all this huge following, and then you're like, purge it, get rid of it. Those are the people that knew me back before I was.
I completely got off Facebook completely and did away with it for a while.
And you couldn't get back in.
Well,
I remember you had a total social media purge.
Yeah. It was peaceful. I enjoyed it, actually.
Yeah. Well, we missed you.
I'm dying.
All right. I think we're ready. Kade, are you ready?
Yeah, I think so.
You over there fake farming?
Yep.
All right. Mr. Barber, you ready?
I'm ready.
Dakota, are we go for launch?
Yep.
All right.
As good as we're going to get.
Welcome to the Ball Soccer Liberty podcast on the Wall Network. I'm your host, Jeremiah Morrell, and as always, I'm joined by our co-host, Dakota Davis.
I'm here, but I don't know how much I'm actually here.
Oh, boy.
This will be an interesting one.
Dakota's doing his first episode stoned. Our show is about our lives in rural Indiana. It's a show about folks who are involved in politics. We promise that our episodes are going to be a fun and an easy listen. We interview people who are influencers, elected officials, political experts, and folks we just find interesting. On my right is returning co-host. It's been a while, but he's still a credited host of this show. He took I'm not doing anything outside of my day job and my elected job sabbatical, but he's back. Mr. Clay Morgan, welcome back to the show, sir.
Well, hey, thanks for letting me grace you guys with my presence.
You're back on our IP airwaves.
I appreciate it.
We're excited you're here. On the other side of the room, it's fake farmer Kade himself. He's got all of the beans drilled and the corn planted.
Yep.
And now you're just praying for rain.
Unless there's anybody that doesn't have more work that they need done.
If you've got ground that doesn't have something in it, call and text. Yes. And he will leave this minute and
custom work. I'm for hire.
He will put those beans in your field tonight.
Only a fake farmer would have a tattoo of a tractor and grain bins.
Yeah, well, multiple tractors.
What color is that tractor on your arm?
Green.
What'd you drive today?
I was in a New Holland today.
You have a loaner? Is it like when your green tractor breaks down, they put you in a Ford?
No, I was down helping Milco Dairy put their hay up.
There you go.
So.
They let you drive the tractor, though. You didn't have to do like we did when we were 14 or 15 and sit on the back of the wagon and take 2-string bales.
It's hard to find competent operators anymore, and they ran a guy short today and said it needed help. So I'd never been in a New Holland. I'd never run a merger like they were running, but I got about a 10-minute crash course, baptism by fire, and off I was. So.
One time when I was 6, I sat on a local farmer's lap, and he let me steer. Mm-hmm. So I can go out and operate if anybody needs me.
Yeah. If anyone ever does, if I do farm around you and you see me in a field, you got kids, bring them to the edge of the field, they can ride with me.
People say Kade is pretty good looking, or Dakota's pretty good looking, so I'm sure there's some farmers that let you up on their lap now if you want to ride around with them.
Kade just offered.
That's true. Yeah. I guess, yeah. Actually, I'd like that picture. That'd be really good for content. If
Jared, just bring him by next time you need a babysitter for him.
That's right.
He can ride with me for a while.
We're gonna send him for a lap.
Audrey about that one.
I personally think all three of you guys are good-looking guys.
Well, thank you very much.
Appreciate that.
You guys got the nice haircuts and.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I got a good one today, Clay.
Yeah. Right.
Clay, I do want to bring something up. For those of you who don't know, Clay Morgan owns MVP Barbershop in Newcastle.
That's right.
Somebody left a 5-star review on the Boss Hog and Liberty page and said, "Great content, and they all have good haircuts."
Oh, great.
Well,
I think that was Mr. Michael Howard. He said that, so
great.
All right, you sure it wasn't old MVP's shadow account over here? All right, so this is episode number 61.
61.
I feel like we just did an episode yesterday, but it was the day before.
Yep.
We did our special Indy 500 racing preview episode, and Clay, we got some thank yous to put out there, I'd imagine. Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
We got some special bonus Patreon content that went out on Tuesday, on the Tuesday show, or after the Tuesday show.
a long piece of content. It was packed.
We did a 45-minute poolside episode, kind of a checkup mashup is what we called it, with the Wall crew and the Boss Hog Liberty crew.
It was a throwback to the old days, back whenever we would sit beside your pool in the outdoors, and we would drink beer and talk about random things, and that's what we did.
That's
Saturday.
exactly what it was. So the first, basically, we were playing with the new recorder, the Zoom H6 that our Patreon folks were nice enough to get us. And as we were playing with it, we wound up needing a fifth input, a fifth microphone, and you can make the Zoom record a fifth voice. So you can plug 4 mics into it and microphone cables, and our entire studio is that. And then the fifth person can just hold the Zoom, and talk into it.
Yep.
As we did the transition, Chris Spangle was holding it, and he pushed the button, and that discontinued the recording. So you get until the end of the first recording for free. And then for the premium people that help us at any level on that Patreon page, Boss Hog Liberty, or if you go onto patreon.com/Boss Hog Liberty, or you search for Boss Hog Liberty on Patreon, donate at any level and you get content like that. And then the Tuesday night tinfoil time with Audrey and Dakota.
Yep.
And I imagine at some point there's going to be another one. We promised that weekly, and it's been a minute.
Well, it's because we've been doing things we've been doing so many episodes a week.
Doing
For
Tuesday
some reason,
shows
you keep scheduling 2 episodes a week, Jeremiah. This is a 1 episode a week podcast.
It could be that he doesn't want your
I think that's what it
episode
is.
to excel.
He does. He's feeling very threatened by tinfoil
I think so.
time.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, I'm just saying I haven't been invited on our special conspiracy show. It's just awkward.
So that's why we did have the Tuesday episode this week, and Audrey was on vacation last week, so we couldn't do it then. I was like, maybe I should go on and talk, and I was like, nah, nobody wants that. So
yeah, they like that show for Audrey.
Yep.
So Tuesday we had Mike McCown and Zach Burcham on, and we previewed the Indy 500. I'm wearing my Connor Daly shirt for our boy Chase. He's
the brother to the golfer.
No. He's the son of the F1 driver Derek Daly.
There is
Wish TV8.
There's also another Connor Daly who he's like the host of The Voice.
I have no idea. That
Audrey loves The Voice, so we were sitting there last night, and I thought that it was Jimmy Fallon because they look so much alike, and she's like, "No, his name's Connor Daly." I was like, "The race car driver?" And I thought,
I was actually messaging Connor today or last night on Instagram. He was going back and forth. He got a new helmet for the race. He was having painted up, and we were talking on Tuesday about how Connor's got the Jack's Donuts helmet. And his new helmet didn't have that on there. And I messaged Connor. I was like, where's that Jack's Donuts thing, man? You got to help out our boy Lee.
That's right.
And he said the helmet's not done yet. So I think by the time they get around to race day, you're going to see that Jack's Donuts helmet.
That's cool.
Back on his helmet.
That's cool.
So Jack's Donuts, Newcastle, Indiana zone, is going to be in the Indy 500.
That's cool.
It's always cool to go places and see the Jack's Donuts logo. Like you go into the field house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It used to be our little secret. Now the whole town's got it. Or the whole state. They're in Utah. There's like 18 of them.
I see him at the Y almost daily through the week. He comes in and works out, and I'm trying to convince him to create a protein donut.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
I need a low carb, a South Beach friendly donut. That's what I need. That's truly been the toughest thing for me since Sarah and I started this this lifestyle change. Donuts have been the toughest thing to give up.
Oh, yeah.
Down 55 or 60 pounds, and it's rough.
I think it would be Chex Mix.
Yeah.
And tortillas.
Now, have you still been South Beach since
September, yeah.
Yeah. Cheat day here and there?
No, cheats hurt, man.
Really?
I don't do it.
So you've been wow. Yeah. That's dedication.
Might have a beer, but sugar, flour, none of that. Don't do it.
Wow.
I'll have some whole wheat bread maybe once a month. That's about it.
Beer's probably my weakness too.
That's dedication.
Yeah. I can't have a nice steak without a good beer.
Yeah.
See, I'm in this Facebook group called Craft Brew Junkies, and it's just a bunch of people who post photos and things of different craft brews that they find, and it's just like, if every time that I think, you know what, I'm gonna just cut back and only drink gin and tonics, I see posts in that Facebook group.
Yeah,
nope, I gotta find me a good IPA.
My brother-in-law David, he started a home brewing thing with a buddy of his, and they actually won the competition up at the Guardian. They got first and third place, I think,
that's
with
awesome.
his brews. So
that's really cool.
They're actually going to carry his stuff on tap, and then he's actually looking into venturing into a business and starting his own.
I know Liberty
brewery.
Defender Sean Rao has been brewing his own stuff here lately.
There's been talk of him opening up a little brewery in town. We're all cheering for that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I wanted
If we
him
can get
to buy
a
the
tax
Castle
abatement or
Theater.
something for him, maybe it would happen, huh?
I say we make the Castle Theater a den of thieves.
The Castle Brewery.
A den of thieves.
Yep, and we put gambling tables and alcohol and
Cigars.
cigars just to make Aaron Dickin a little bit angry.
The Supreme Court says we can have gambling in any state now. So maybe Tom and Gene,
That's right.
whoever our Northern District Senator are going to be, can legalize some gambling around here and have we'll have the Clay Morgan Casino and barbershop.
We all know Darren Jacobs wouldn't be for something like that.
Well, inside city limits, he has no power. He's powerless
right.
over us.
He's enjoying that new gas station, though, isn't he?
He is.
That Casey's life, man.
Yeah.
New gas station and the solar farm.
It's nice. I stopped in there today to get tire. Had a flat tire, and it's pretty nice.
All right. So
according to some, but you said Darren Jacobs doesn't have any authority within city. I mean, according to a Facebook post I saw several months ago, Darren Jacobs is a pretty powerful man.
Yeah,
he,
that's
he
right.
wields, he wields his personal power.
He has no legal authority. Darren can get stuff done.
Okay.
There's two sides.
All right.
I also heard that Darren Jacobs is getting rich off of the taxpayers. So
I don't want to
there's a
say
lot of that
anything,
going
but
around. A lot of people getting rich in
he
Henry
does
County.
pay for his haircuts.
I'm just saying.
I think he spoiled the
Darren
suite
gets
for
a
the
government
primary.
check, and so does Clay. The rest of this room, not yet.
That's
Maybe
true.
if things go right in
That is
November.
true. That's true.
So, Clay, have you ever been to the Indy 500?
I never have.
What about you?
Yeah, Jeremiah was chastising me
I'm
today.
a fake
over that.
Hoosier too. I guess I'm not into it either.
I told, they were one of the. It wasn't me. One of the customers was in the shop today asking who was going to win the 500, and I kept my mouth shut. And Clay told the guy, "Well, one of the drivers, I suppose." And
so there might be a guy named Pierre.
Yeah, no, not a guy named Pierre.
Like the water, or that?
There's a Frenchman named Sebastian who's got a pretty good shot.
Well,
and a Frenchman named
after
Simon, maybe.
analyzing it all and really taking the time to think about it.
Yeah, well, it's been a couple hours.
Then
I thought that we got all of Jeremiah's racing talk out Tuesday.
Well, I came up with Ricky Bobby. Yeah, I think Ricky Bobby could.
And I told you
take
without
it.
fenders, man. I don't know how Ricky's going to do.
Yeah. Well,
So
fenders.
after we get through that adventure on Sunday, Dakota's possibly planning on being in a parade on Monday.
The Libertarian
the big Newcastle Memorial Day parade. The Libertarians. You're the chairperson.
Yep. Libertarian Party of Henry County is going to be there.
You've been told by our activities director that you are supposed to show up.
Yeah. Lisa Crosby is our outreach director, and she's been organizing this whole thing. You can't pass out candy anymore. You can't throw candy to people on the side of the road. You have to
because Darren Jacobs said kids can't have sugar.
Oh, well, you can hand out candy. You're just not allowed to throw it.
Really?
So you have to have people walking up. So Lisa had the brilliant idea of taking some of the wax and things that we had laying around for the party, and she made tea candles.
You get a free waxing.
Yeah,
no. Parade. It's gonna be hot.
No, she made tea candles. They smell really good. It's gonna have a business card that's gonna direct people into our brand new website.
How many of these does she make?
We got 500 business cards. So
is the vice president coming? He's been in this thing before. He's going to be probably going to be at the race on Sunday, I would imagine. Is the vice president going to be in Newcastle Monday? Can anybody deny that rumor?
I'm going to ask him that whenever I walk up to him at age 6.
Cannot confirm or deny. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Eldon Pitts is monitoring right now. If I read about it in the Middletown paper online, we'll know where he heard it.
Exactly.
If Kade had said yes, he could have been the second source, and they could run with it.
That's right.
All right. So you're looking for volunteers to help. I guess if you're dehydrated, you need somebody to pick you up off the street and drag you to the end.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we are looking for volunteers, for people to walk with us, hand out some things. We got all kinds of stuff to hand out, a banner to carry. Lineup starts at 9 a.m. You can message Lisa Jo Crosby on Facebook, and she'll get you all lined out.
Even if you don't want to walk with the Libertarians, I bet there's a crowd of people you could probably find to associate with and walk in this parade.
Oh yeah,
it is the biggest Memorial Day parade in the state. It is a big deal.
Yeah, 20,000 people annually show up to this thing.
Unfortunately, they schedule it the day after the world's greatest race and the biggest spectacle in racing, and some of us need an entire day to recover. Once I turn 40, I may need Tuesday to recover as well after the race. But I wish you well. Eldon Pitts has no comment. He's not answering either way. I know he's scribbling. I know he's taking notes.
Yep.
He's
that's
taking
right.
notes. By the way, Eldon's on next week. We're doing the Catherine preview. The movie's coming out,
Oh, okay.
and we're
Have a customer's in that movie.
yeah.
He's one of the actors. He has
Is it Bash Crider?
He just has a small, I think he said he has like one line or something like that. So
I was in one of the local movies.
if it doesn't get cut out,
I was in one of the local movies, but I had no speaking part. But I'm on IMDb. If you Google me, I'm on the IMDb.
sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So since Eldon is watching, we got to give him something to write down. So are we gonna? We talked about this on the I think on the primary episode, but Clay, are you gonna be the next president of the Henry County Council?
Well,
Is this breaking news?
Looking around the seniority table, man.
well, if you want a serious, honest answer, I mean, I guess it's possible, but there's a couple people in the council right now that don't want me anywhere near a leadership position. However, some of the newcomers, I think, at least some of them, would be friendly toward that idea.
Yeah.
So
Well, nobody's won an election yet.
I'm making a prediction.
Well,
right now.
exactly. There'll be some newcomers.
We know there's some people that aren't coming back.
There will be some newcomers,
but there will be some. There will definitely be some new
and
faces.
among them, I think I would have an opportunity. Sure.
Are we
So
gonna
the
Are we gonna be
question-
taking over and under bets at the Castle Casino that we're gonna open up in Castle?
The question is what betting line's better? Is Nancy Pelosi going to be Speaker of the House, or is Clay going to be the President of the Henry County Council,
That
or both?
you guys need to start that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't want Nancy Pelosi to be anywhere near that position. Yeah, I've been paying more attention to national politics here recently. I took a brief hiatus from listening to Ben Shapiro, started re-listening to him, and there's a lot of strong indicators that this might be like one of the first years in decades where the party of the president doesn't lose the House and Senate, which is really weird. We keep hearing about the blue wave, but there's not very much empirical evidence that that's going to happen. I'm hoping that we can get a gold wave to go through there.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, from what I heard, off years, I saw a statistic that during the off year election or whatever they officially term it, only like 40% voter turnout nationwide.
Yeah.
Whereas in the presidential year, there's 60%. So
Yeah,
it'll
we've
be
got a
really
Senate race
interesting.
in Indiana. I think the Senate race is going to
Senate race is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
If either one of the two major parties wins, we're going to be blue either way.
Watching
right?
some of the Facebook chatter though here in here in Henry County, looks like there might be some.
I was a little slow.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's just because you guys nominated a confirmed Democrat over on Team Elephant.
Right.
There seem to be a lot of rifts on the Republican side right now. Have you been to the meetings? Are you guys getting along okay? Are you getting forced to be friends at gunpoint now? How's the healing going?
Yeah,
We're a
honestly,
few weeks
last I
in.
knew, everything was fine. I mean, the last official gathering that I am aware of that I was at was election night at Primos.
And the chairman read a statement and said, "We're all friends. We get along. we will win together in November. Turn this over. Everybody be nice.
Right.
Everybody love everybody."
It was really close to that right
yeah,
there.
I think Mr. Hyde's got a mess on his hands right now.
It was fine.
The rumors I saw is y'all don't even know if you're going to be at the same campaign booths.
Yeah,
Your-
that's what I
Your
was
big
hearing.
tent has a hole in
We
it,
shall
sir.
see. I do know.
I heard there might be 2 Republican floats in the Memorial Day parade.
It will be interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm
One of
just
them is solar powered, and one of them has a wind sail.
I've just picked up on some of this today. So last I knew, everything was fine. I do know I'm scheduled to work the Middletown Fair booth with a candidate that sent me an email that demanding my resignation from the council. So I'm sure that will be interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't really even talked to her. So
Well, whenever she was
But
on
she
the
You guys
doesn't
use
like
each
me.
other's names?
she doesn't like
Well,
me.
well, whenever she was on the show, she said that she had a lot of respect for you. So
Well, that's
maybe
good.
Maybe the tides have changed.
You said
so.
Clay Morgan. You made sure she didn't think it was the country
Right. You
star
made
Clay
sure it was
Walker.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was
that's
you.
good. That's good.
So there is more indicators that you will be the council president.
Well, I might be okay there. Like with Susan Hoon, I get along with her just fine. Actually, I've talked to her a few times, even before the election. And
Susan right now is the one council candidate that doesn't have any opposition at all in November.
Right. So she looks like the one that will be there. And honestly, well, I don't know if you want to get in. I know you don't want to get into it yet, but
we'll get into anything you want.
I will.
We'll just tear the notes up, and you take us where you want to take us.
I will say that I do think Susan will be very helpful, and I think we'll get along just fine.
Unless I can get Nate to run as a libertarian, right?
Well, that could shake it up.
The sore loser law says Nate couldn't run in that race, but if Nate was interested in running as a libertarian or Democrat in any other race in the state of Indiana,
commissioner maybe,
the election law allows it.
Tom Saunders.
There you go.
Tom Saunders is running unopposed right now, so
yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to figure something out. I'm still trying to work on old Zach Lee. I'm still trying to
lure him back
grind.
in.
Still,
everybody should.
His signs are great, man. I love his signs, and I want to be able to put him back out.
You're not a football guy, but Zach Lee's signs are Viking colors.
Yeah, they are.
They're purple and yellow.
Yep.
All right. What's next on the list here, Dakota?
The next thing we're going to talk about is whether or not Clay Morgan has got any political endorsements that he wants to announce.
Has anybody endorsed you?
Wow.
You got big endorsements?
Hey, you know what? The one guy that has endorsed me in the past is Butch Baker.
Well, so you're screwed there.
So,
you better warm up to Ed.
Well, I tell you what, in November, the one guy that I can come out and endorse is Chad Malacote. So I know he's a lot of people. Well, I won't say a lot, but there are some people obviously mad because of Doughboy, and you guys have talked about that.
Yeah, we've worn that topic out.
But honestly, on the council, you don't deal with the Doughboy. And Chad actually is very fiscally conservative, and I really, really think he would do an awesome job when it comes down to the budget, which is my main concern being a councilman. Now, as far as people that I would like to work with, but not officially endorse, I do enjoy sitting beside my buddy Jeremiah. So I wouldn't mind Jeremiah being on the council, to be honest with you, because again, we've talked over the past year or two. I think our first real connection was when you gave me a ride down to.
You and I went to Road Funding Day.
Road Funding Day, yes.
Trying to get some. Doing the work a councilman should do, trying to actually get some money and lobbying to get some potholes filled and some paving done.
So let's just put that on record now. Jeremiah was doing council work, and he wasn't even a councilor. Yes. So,
but he and Jeremiah does. He has a lot of great fiscal ideas, a lot of great fiscal principles.
I'm mostly against tax increases
and against tax increases. So I'd love to be working with Jeremiah. I've met, keep it real short here, but I haven't really talked to Kenan a lot. I've said hey to him. I'm on a committee with him, Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative, which is a great initiative in the state of Indiana, and Henry County is a big part of that. And it's been very successful here in Henry County, working with our juveniles that our probation department works with, and Judge Bob Witham, which Judge Mary Willis did start it.
We don't hear enough about the work that you guys do.
It's tremendous. I mean, we've really reduced the amount of juveniles we detain, and it's not just letting them off easy. It's basically taking more time to really look at the situation.
It's rehabilitation versus incarceration.
And it's been very successful. So Kenan's on that committee, and he's been just fine to work with. And I absolutely have nothing bad to say there, honestly. And if he wins, I think we'll get along just fine too. But because I know Jeremiah and friends with Jeremiah, and I know how he feels fiscally, and also a big thing, I think this election is going to be the tax issue. Because at this time, I'm definitely not for raising any taxes, and I know that's going to be offered, if you will, or brought up.
Yeah, it was
when we get into the jail bill
1263.
So they said we could do that again, and until I'll say this and shut up, but until the council can align itself in a position that I feel comfortable that we've done all we can do fiscally for this county, I absolutely can't vote for another tax raise.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Clay Morgan, a true fiscal conservative.
So
Yeah, and we talked about that issue with you regarding LOIT funds, which we're going to get into here in a minute. But just the way that it's turned out.
Yeah.
I think you said on one of the previous episodes, if you had to do it over again, knowing what you know now and how it would turn out. Yeah.
Well, when LOIT tax front, when we first brought that out,
This is the public safety LOIT.
yeah, public
They've
safety.
renamed it now. Now it's not no,
Lit.
it's not option. It's lit.
It's local
no
income
longer-
tax.
It's no longer an optional income tax. Now it's just the lit tax.
It's lit.
Get lit, man.
Yeah.
That's because every time that I bring up, LOIT, talking to other people, and most people don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
And I say, local optional income tax,
It's where,
and they think,
it's
so
where
I can
four or
opt
more
out of that?
councilmen get together and say, we need more money. I know what we'll do. Let's
Yeah.
vote to raise taxes, and
Yeah.
then they do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it has obviously brought in more money. However, and given the situation we were in at the time, do I think it should have been done? I mean, yes, I still think it was a good idea, and I think it will end up serving a tremendous purpose if we can get our, in layman's terms, act together and structure the budget in a fiscally sound, responsible way. Because right now, I'm very disappointed in the way we used the public safety income tax, because we've just done a lot of switching around.
Right. Yeah.
And so what we do right now, what I've experienced the past couple years since we've instituted that tax that I did vote for, and again, why I'm so disappointed is we just switch from this fund to this fund so we can get through the year. And then we say, well, we have an A rating and we're doing a good job.
We're
There's
not
no,
forward looking.
yeah.
We're not keeping costs.
But it's
not
we're
a
not dealing with this
long-term-
year's costs.
It's not a
You're-
long-term plan.
Right.
And that's what's disappointing to me.
So you are, like we said, a county councilman. However, you are not up for election this year.
Right.
So you're a Republican.
Right.
And you are an at-large candidate.
for now.
Right. Yeah. For
Yeah,
now.
Unless you get
Republican for
expelled.
now. But what's it mean to be an at-large member of the council?
Simply, it was. Tells me he had a student come up to him and say, Mr. Peckinpah, how big do you have to be at-large candidate?
So,
But what it means the entire district, so the
Right.
entire county.
yeah. So actually, whenever I was, I don't know, junior high, and I'd just met Rex Peckinpah somewhere, and I kept seeing his signs everywhere that said "at large." I legitimately thought that it meant that too.
And it is funny. Rex is a cool dude. I love Rex. I really do. He's a
I'm
cool
running in a
dude.
district race, and now that I'm under 300 pounds, I barely fit in the district. So,
Yeah.
it works out nicely.
You could never run at large.
No,
Yeah.
not anymore. I have to get back on the Jack's Donuts.
So it doesn't come with any special privileges or anything like that. It just an at-large
No.
candidate just represents.
No, it
everywhere.
actually like you have to
you have just
put
many people.
more into it
Yeah,
because you have a
You have a
quite a bit larger
base of
geographical
constituents. Yeah.
area. Yeah.
So
yeah.
You represent, instead of 12,000 people, you represent 48,000 people.
Right.
48,000 potential voters or citizens,
right.
So
right.
plus the jail.
you are
Right.
elected what, every 4 years?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So
every
my
4-year
election
terms.
is the election for at-large council, put it that way, is
Right.
2020.
Okay, and
Same time as
you
the presidential. You got the
Right.
Trump bump, man.
Yes, exactly.
But here's the thing,
Except
you can't.
I couldn't get that straight ticket votes this time around
Yeah, why is that?
because the state changed it. I forget the reasoning. Somebody told me that
Because straight ticket voting is wrong and immoral.
so-
And it's a
Correct.
pick three. Because it's a pick three, they didn't want to just say you're going to get all the Republican votes or all the Democratic votes. So in a
Yeah.
pick multiple choice of races, you have to actually select the individual candidates.
yeah,
We should just eliminate straight ticket voting. And if you're
that
not
sounds
smart
like
enough
a
to
good
pick
explanation.
names,
Is that why they
That's
did?
why they did it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
It's
evidently
the
that's
first
why.
step towards voter
Yeah.
reform.
Yeah.
We need to eliminate straight ticket voting, and we need to eliminate we need redistricting reform. 2 steps towards vastly improved.
And we need to make our primaries much more open than what they are. That's my philosophy.
And I have
Or make
on
parties pay for them.
as far as the straight ticket voting, especially, I could definitely go with that. Like, because it gives power. It gives power, and I hate to put it this way, but it's just the plain truth. And I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but it gives power to the ignorant voter.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't mean that derogatory. It's just ignorance is a lack of knowledge.
Yep.
So sometimes people don't even have knowledge of a particular candidate.
The lazy man's way to vote.
But they vote for the party.
Just
You're
like
voting for the Republican that's running for sheriff because it's the Republican that's running for sheriff. You're voting for the Democrat that's running for whatever the race is.
So
that,
but
vote for
straight ticket people are into it like we're into it, though.
Right. Straight ticket voting is the lazy man's way to vote, just like raising taxes is the lazy man's solution to a problem.
Right.
Well, as the crickets play, we should. What's next?
Okay. Well, I also have some thoughts about voting reform.
Okay.
That I want to talk about for a minute. Okay. I think that
it's not even a list.
In order, no,
we're just flying off the cuff.
I just thought
freestyle.
of this. Like, this is totally impromptu,
terrifying. Your political career is at risk right now.
Right.
I think
his sickness is talking.
Yeah. In order to vote for someone, you should be able to. You should have to match their name with their face to prove that you actually know what they are.
Wow, giving a true meaning to facial recognition.
Yeah,
and name recognition.
What if you have an Amish candidate?
Well, the Amish aren't gonna run. They aren't gonna run. I'm putting that out there right now.
He's oppressive.
How can they run and get any of their voter base whenever the machines are electronic?
Well, that's offensive too.
Do they mail in their votes?
Constitutional.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just putting that out there.
You went there.
Totally.
Boy, this is a groundbreaking episode.
In all actuality, I have a lot of respect for Amish people.
Oh,
I've worked around a lot of them.
That's a good comeback.
I work around them a lot too.
Yeah,
they are really good.
I have stayed on the grounds of an Amish family.
An Amish family?
An Amish family.
They're huge.
I sure did. I was 13, just about ready. I actually turned 14 on the way back home from the trip, but we rode a horse.
It was in July, huh?
We rode on a horse, carried carriage, 2 horses, carriage, ate out of a can, slept on the side of the road in sleeping bags.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we went up to Geneva from Parker City.
For the convention, the big Geneva convention.
Exactly. Exactly. He is sick.
This is me podcasting sober.
I'm letting him, I'm just letting him run with it now. I'm just having fun.
Yep.
Let's see how high we can take this episode.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to have you back.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I feel at home.
It's been a while. Yeah.
I feel at home.
We've been trying to carry on without you, man. I just don't know how to do it.
I've kind of seen it's been rough, but
we haven't called Abe Lincoln a war criminal without you in a long time.
Right.
Still one of our highest rated episodes. But Clay,
yes,
you are part of the swamp. So
I can just feel the corruption on his arm.
Yeah, right. You're part of the swamp, and you're around all the incumbents.
Oh yes,
every month at least.
Yes.
Is it the swamp or is it the Good Old Boys Club? Is that what they're calling it?
Oh yeah, it's the Good Old Boys in Henry County. That's right.
Right.
Yep. So, what has been the reaction after the primaries?
At the Good Old Boy meetings, have you all been panicked?
Well, when we light up the fog machines to make sure the room is smoky, and
you put on your robes and sacrifice your goat.
Right. No, in all honesty,
I assume this all happens at the diner down.
We don't want to give our secrets away. But
what diner?
The diner.
That's just
no diners.
You don't talk about it. Yeah. No, there has been a couple people, not just elected officials, Republicans, but there has been some people kind of concerned, honestly, like, oh my God, how's this going to work out? Are they going to, do this? But honestly, in my conversations, I just tell them, I say, you know what? I said, I honestly, I think it's going to be just fine. I mean, it is. It's going to be just fine. I had some friends get beat, and they're still great people. I still, still respect what they've done and things of that nature. But I think with the people coming in, the thing that excites me is if they'll approach the council as an opportunity to learn and to really help Henry County. The very things that I've been disappointed with over the past few years, some of them are disappointed with too. So instantly, January 1st, and I know some people are going to hate this, but I go from being in the minority to being in the majority.
Well, no, you've been in a 5-2 Republican majority the whole
So,
time.
yeah, right. I hear you. But yeah.
Remember,
So
there's
teamwork.
two floats.
because
There's two floats
here's
in
the thing, as you guys know, and a lot of people know, I get along with everybody on the council personally just fine. I mean, we can sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk, but it's no secret to the people that know what's going on that I'm not well liked.
Yeah.
And
You just have to go to the meeting.
I'm there. They hate it when I talk. Now, there's a couple of them that are cool with me. Honestly, I know Steve Duggar's not real popular with a lot of people that are listening, but Steve listens. Steve's fine with me.
I really like Steve a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's honest. A lot of people don't like him because he's been so upfront about wind farms.
Right. Well, he's upfront about everything.
And he is. That's where he stands, so that's what he said. He doesn't try to hide it. But
where you like to hide what you're thinking.
Well, I definitely try to hide it and try to sugarcoat everything. Yeah, that's why I'm so well loved. But
This is a great episode, guys. Great episode.
Yeah. So like I said, with
bring our friends on
Susan,
and roast them, isn't it?
with Susan Hoon out of the Republicans that won.
Yeah.
Susan Hoon and I, again, like I said, I've talked to her. I've told Nate I've talked to her even before the election. Our boys played Salvation Army together, basketball together. And
I thought they started a religion.
Yeah, right. And so I've talked to her, and we've talked about budget issues. We didn't get into wind farm issues. We just talked about budget, and she's concerned, and I'm concerned, and honestly,
well, that's what serving is going to be about.
Yeah,
wind farms. You look at the schedule month to month. What's going to come? Wind farms are not going to come before the council. So
yeah, at the end of the day, that's not.
Need to be talking
it's
about.
not. And actually, I'm sure nobody wants to camp here tonight, but the Northern Project, the Cowpine Project, from what I'm hearing, they're not even going to approach the council,
right?
About an abatement.
And
that's the only thing we can actually vote on.
Even before the primary, the majority of the council were against abatement.
Oh yeah.
So it was really a moot point through the whole.
It was because there was.
Just to clarify, you've been against abatements the whole time, right?
Well, I voted yes on the previous abatements for the South. The initial one that really got everybody fired up was because that project had been going on since about 2010, before I was on the council, and up to right before that vote, we honestly hadn't heard much kickback. Now, there was some. I'll admit there was some. But when Cowpine came in, that's when it really blew up.
Right.
That was the spring of 2016, and that's where
right. And so I just kind of followed
up
through on my. See, this is where, barring some unforeseen thing, I keep my word. And during the process, I had been a part of the process with everyone else. And so when it came time to vote, I was like, yeah, I mean, we've made it this far. Let's go forward with the project. So I did. The next abatement to extend the votes down there, one of the farms, because there was two, as
one
you know.
died because of other counties dropping out, and then the other one was due for an abatement extension.
And an abatement extension because it expired.
Because it took them so long to develop.
Exactly. And so when that came up, I voted no, because of everything that had happened. The people were so much against it, and my feeling was, if they're going to come, they'll pay full price.
Right.
Yep. And if they haven't got their stuff together by now, then I don't want to prolong this misery. Yeah. So I was a no vote on that one, but it did pass. Just me and Harold Griffin voted no on that one. But since I've been I've been open, most all of us have been open about we would vote no on the next wind farm abatement if it was presented. There's only one councilman that might vote yes. And honestly, I haven't even talked to him about it, so I don't know yes or no, but it's Steve Duggar. And he could have been a yes vote. but it still would have died.
Yeah.
But there's only 6. Steve's on the council for another 6 months. So by the time we get into anything that happens in the
Right.
in 2019,
So there will
You're
be
not
no
finding it.
wind farm abatement.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, there just won't.
That's just how it's going to be.
So if they come, it'll be without an abatement.
which would be the first time that's happened in the state of Indiana. There's not been a single wind
Oh, really?
installation
Without an
without an abatement.
So
I think we're having a civil war over something that's not going to
that
happen.
may not even happen.
So I told you
Yeah.
earlier. I think it's like us having an argument over whether or not we're going to sell alligator hunting permits in Henry County. We
Well,
don't really have alligators here,
you
but
might-
we're going to have an argument
yeah.
over whether or not we're going to hunt them.
Have you been to the park lately?
Well, there was rumor that I had stocked some snapping turtles down there in Shively Pond, but that's unfounded, Clay.
Okay.
Yeah, Landon
All right.
has
Well,
has
I'm
since
glad
got
I
rid of
heard
them.
it here.
Landon got rid of them all.
I'm glad I heard it
Landon's
here.
been a pretty good park president here in the last couple of months.
Don't say that.
They've made progress down there, man. The
They have. I
Smith
saw
building,
that.
the Smith Annex is gone.
It is working.
Looks great.
It's
They
it's
planted a bunch of
crazy going down there
trees.
and seeing what it looks like. But they've made some big progress at the park.
They have.
That
yeah.
the Smith building is on its way. It's
Smith Building will look. It does.
Yeah.
It's gonna look good. It really is.
I hope so. I hope it's successful. I mean, I really do. I know the budget side of it, and I won't get into it.
Even if we have
because
to
it's
buy
not
a-
good.
Even if we have to buy a second Doughboy. I mean, that's what.
That's the
they got
sickness
offered
again,
that.
man. I'm glad I could be here for all this.
I mean, that's
I
what
don't-
they were
if,
offered.
If a private group wants to buy a second Doughboy, but I
Yeah.
don't think the council. I don't think the council's going to take 20 grand out of your pocket to buy a second Doughboy.
That's true. That's
tax.
true.
Just raise taxes, man.
Yeah.
Just like 0.5% something
Yep.
somewhere.
Yeah.
That's right.
That'll fix it.
What's next on our agenda, Mr. Co-host?
So we were talking about no votes for wind,
Mhm.
and I have down here that you have been the proverbial no vote on budgets. Besides the 2018 budget, you actually voted yes on.
I did vote yes.
So-
No, I am
We're
down.
just getting tired of all the flack you were getting. From,
I'm down
Ah,
twice.
God, Clay's always voting no.
I'm down twice out of, I think this was my 5th budget vote.
Yeah.
I am down twice as a no.
So
I was going to be a no on the 2018 budget.
And then somebody sweet talked you.
Well,
What'd they
once,
give you?
Once, yeah.
What did they give you, Clay?
I don't, again, we have to light up the fog machine. But
put on your hoods.
I was a no vote up until right close to it. And then it actually seemed like it wasn't perfect. I was about 75% satisfied. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
That's pretty good.
And so I voted yes. Well, then after a few months later, had I known some of the things that took place with the budget, I would have been a no. And I'm
Right.
like, crap. I wish I was down on the minutes as a
Should
no.
have stuck to your guns,
I
man.
wish I knew now what I didn't know then. Instead of the
Hindsight-
song lyrics.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 2020.
And I hate that. But yeah, I thought it was going to be a decent, okay budget. Definitely doesn't prepare us for the future, but
Yeah, with the future-
again, it was okay.
What do you
So-
think it's going to look like with at least 3 new faces on the council?
We'll see.
Do you think it's
mean-
going to be like? Do you think most of the people are going to have a default position of we need to cut money, we need to be more fiscally responsible, or
When we again, depending on who's elected and depending on how willing they are to really look at things, not the way they wish it was, but the way it is.
right?
Because sometimes that
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. A lot of times that makes a huge difference. Because there are things that I wish it was different, but it's just not. So I have to work within.
There's a
way
pragmatic
it is.
conversation about what we're doing now and are we going to plan 5 years and 10 years out, right?
What's that?
There's a pragmatic conversation about, okay, what do we do
Yeah,
for this year's
and-
budget? And then are we going to talk about a
Right.
long-range plan and what do we want
Right.
this to look like in 5 years?
Right. And I honestly, we'll have a new auditor, which, is kind of the hub of all the financial ins and outs, with Debbie Walker. She's an uncontested candidate right now
For now.
for auditor.
You never know.
So
Dakota could recruit somebody.
you could. But as for now, if she ends up winning and taking that office, I think she'll be tremendous. I really do. I've talked to Debbie over the years, worked with her a little bit, and she's fun. I really like Debbie a lot, and I look forward to her working with her in that position. And the newcomers coming in, I think, again, if we can sit down at the table and see where things are truly at, I don't think necessarily the conversation is going to be cut. But if I can, and again, I know this is going to scare the crap out of some people, but if I can get with them and show them some areas where I personally feel like we've strayed from fiscal responsibility, they may be willing to look at that, and we may be able to just use our current money, not raise taxes, not cut, but use our current money for now.
And sit down and think about it.
Position the money in the proper places, put LOIT properly in LOIT or LIT for public safety, general fund expenses, and properly coordinate that. Then we can get a true picture of where we really stand. Then we can move forward from there. But we can't truly prepare for the future or launch forward if we don't even know where we stand. And to be quite honest with you, we truly don't know where we stand. I mean, there are those that will say, "Oh, we're doing fine." I mean, that's what you hear. We're doing good. And then they'll use the Standard & Poor's rating as, an A.
That's your debt. That's your ability to
credit
borrow money,
rating,
right? That doesn't mean.
But yeah, well, here's the thing. If you go beyond just that rating and look in the report, I've got it at home and I've got it highlighted. There's things in the report where they're actually condemning us. And they're actually saying, if this, and this, you could lose that rating. So, I mean, there's plenty for us to work on. Mm-hmm. You just have to have people that's in there that's willing to say, look, I think there is some problems here. I mentioned some things one time. I had a councilman look at me. I don't know if I've mentioned this before on a podcast or not, but I was bringing up the issues with our finances because they weren't good. And it's proven itself out. I mean, there was a year we had to take 95,000 from emergency rainy day fund just to meet payroll at the end of the year. That's not good. Mm-hmm. That's not fiscally sound. Yeah. But I had somebody look across the table at me one time and excuse my language, but they said, "Clay, you're taking this too damn far." And I said, "Am I? And then I pointed out some facts. And I'm like, how am I taking this too far? And then later they did apologize to me, and I appreciate that. And they're good people. Again, they just have a different opinion. Yeah. But they apologized to me and basically just told me, look, you're right, but we take it personal because we've been, we've been there.
Yeah.
And so anything I say, they feel like is a personal shot at them.
Right.
When honestly, it's not.
It's not
just trying to deal with the numbers at hand.
It's like a Sunday morning and Clay's back in church, man. He's peeking the monitors over here.
So I get excited about this kind of stuff. I mean, and I see hope. Again,
so what areas of the budget, as we're talking about this, in your opinion, need the most work?
Thanks for controlling me and kind of putting me back in the Now, what's that again?
What areas of the budget? We're talking about the budget right now.
Right.
What areas do you think need the most work? Or is it just kind of one of those things where we just need to make cuts across the board?
Well, there's one real quick answer, but it's not easy.
Right.
And that is to restructure again, go back and undo what we've done with general fund and public safety LOIT. We need to undo it.
Keep them separate is what you mean by that.
Well, and here's the thing. So it gets real touchy there because it is separate. However, and I wanted to do a video using jars and marbles to explain this.
Yeah.
So here's a for instance.
You sure you don't want like a shell game with a pea and a couple of cups?
So there's a for instance. One of the first things we did when we got LOIT was we took about $275,000. I think it was right at $275,000 that the general fund was paying in sheriff retirement. Okay?
Mhm.
That was coming from general fund. So what we did was, because that portion can be paid with public safety money. So we paid for it with public safety money instead of general.
Yeah.
So we switched it over. Now, honestly, I was okay with that because our general fund, this was coming off of this shortly after we started with $220 in the general fund, January 1st of 2015, I think it was.
$220.
$220 in the general fund.
That is insane.
That was cash on hand, general fund, right? That's not good. There's other counties that were starting with
Millions.
several hundred thousand to a million or two. Yeah. Our size counties. So,
Yeah.
But anyways.
We're not talking about
So-
Hamilton County.
So I was okay with that because we did need to, again, it's dealing with the way things are instead of the way you wish it was. We did need to make some moves. So we freed up some space in the general fund. And then somebody at the budget meeting went right from that conversation to saying, let's give raises.
Yeah.
After the council, after we promised we wouldn't give raises. Now, here using public safety LOIT money. Now, here's the catch. Technically, we didn't give raises using public safety money because you can't. That's illegal. Unless it's used for
You used,
like
it as
police
you used it as a
officers.
relief valve, and then you've got money sitting there so that you can actually do
we
something.
relieved the pressure, and then we decided to put the pressure back on.
Right.
Now,
So
there'll
that-
be
that
other
is what-
council people that'll argue till they're blue in the face on that point with me and say that's not the way it is. That's not what we did. That's not why. But it is.
Yeah, you don't feel like it's the intent, but on paper, when you look at what happened, those are the moves that.
Yeah.
It's like Ronald Reagan saying, "I
Yeah.
didn't trade arms for hostage,
somebody-
arms for
and
whatever in the
here's-
'80s," but it happened, right?
Here's something else I want to add to this, because I may not even run in 2020.
Oh boy,
So
might not run for that.
I'm gonna cut loose here. But no, I had somebody, and I'll fall short of saying names on air, but I had somebody when
Just write them down, and we'll read them later for you.
when that happened at that budget session, the person that wanted to switch of money, I looked at him and I said, all you're doing is baiting and switching. I said, that's why people don't like government.
It's a classic Trump tactic, right?
And they shrugged their shoulders at me like,
Yeah.
and
So?
then I said, I said, why can't we? It wasn't even, I'm totally against raises. I just said, we just got LOIT money. Like we just passed this tax. I said, why can't we just wait, get ourselves together, wait and see what happens at the end of the year. Let's go through a year with this money, see what happens, right? Get ourselves in a position to make decisions rather than just flying off the handle. Anyways, they looked at me because it was election year, and they said, so you don't care about the employees? And I looked back at them, and I'm sitting this close, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I said. I don't care about the employees. And they said, well, then I'll go public with it. And I said, go ahead and go public with it. I said, then I'll go public with some of that stuff you talked to me about in the hallway. And then the conversation ended.
If you need a reporter, just give us a call.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Very happy to get the clicks.
Absolutely.
But anyways, so then that ended, and then I voted no on that budget. And it had
So-
nothing to do with the obviously I love the employee. And here's what people don't understand. I'm sorry, I'm taking over.
No, you're fine,
But-
man.
You have co-host status, sir. You can.
Well,
it's
here's
your
what
show.
people don't understand, and I told them about that. I mentioned this at our last special meeting on LOIT. Some of the elected officials act like our employees are totally irrational maniacs when it comes to these things. Like they act like they're so scared that if they do a little something wrong, that there's going to be this huge pitchforks and rioting from the employees. Most of the I don't know of a single employee other than a few elected officials that have a problem with me at all, to be honest with you. And when I talk to them, they actually communicate back to me that they appreciate my stances because they understand the struggles the struggles they're having in their offices
Right.
because of our financial condition.
Because it affects every single employee
It
that we have.
does. It does.
It's not like it's just a little flyover thing.
It
Which
does.
that kind of leads us into there was a meeting that we had, Mike. There was a special meeting called talking about LOIT funds.
Yes.
And one of the topics that was brought up was raises for law enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the
yeah.
sheriff's department.
Right.
And as we were talking about that, as you guys were talking about that, we were on the show talking about the jail.
Okay.
And how it is in such disarray, how horrible condition it's in,
Yeah.
and how we obviously need a new jail bill, or we could use a shell building, like
Right.
I've been suggesting.
And we're under a huge federal lawsuit right now.
Yeah,
because
and
of the
we
jail. Yes.
so we're going through all these different talks, and we're talking about all this stuff. We have two people who are running under fiscal conservative platforms who want to raise your taxes in order to pay for it.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But there are ways to do it. So my question is this really an appropriate time? And I brought this up on that past episode. Is this really the appropriate time to be talking about raises whenever we are in horrible condition to raise money for something else? Like, obviously, I'm not opposed to the police officers getting raises. Like, that's
right.
It's obviously needed. The city police makes more than what the county does, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think it's the appropriate time. I think we're doing too little too late at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But because I'm about ready to go on another roll. So.
Yeah, I think the important thing
because I do have some answers. Yeah.
The important thing is going to be to set your salaries. As a government, you never want to be at the top end of the pay scale because you're overpaying, and that's not fiscally correct to do. And you also don't want to be at the low end because people are able to move on whenever they want to, and you turn into the training ground.
Yeah.
So our goal as a county should be that our salary should be at the midpoint. For areas like ours, our goal for our sheriff's deputies is to pay them well, pay them fairly, but we don't want to overpay. You know, you don't want to be any more than about 55 or 60% of the market. If you go way below that, then they're going to move on to the next place, and you're going to spend $20,000 or $30,000 training an officer and outfitting them, and then you're just you're costing yourself more money by continuing to train for other people.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to be paying 95% wages where you're the absolute Cadillac position. So anyway, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Anything, Kade? You want to add on to that?
Nope.
All right.
All right.
There you go.
So on our jail, so I'll kind of look at these a little bit at a time. On the jail issue, we should get our needs assessment back sometime in June. We should be having a meeting.
And it's going to say, you need a new jail.
With
June is next week, so I'm very excited.
Criminal Justice Coordinating Committee is supposed to get together sometime in June.
You guys have a meeting scheduled yet?
Do not.
Who calls that meeting? Is that you?
No, it's not me.
The council president?
The sheriff's office will call that. Or at Commissioner Baker, Butch Baker has called that also because he's on that committee also. So
okay.
But the last report I heard was from the sheriff that we should have that needs assessment complete and back to us in June. Then we can look at it, and hopefully by that time it'll give us some options. You could do this, you could do this, you could do this, and here's approximate costs. So then it'll be up to us to discuss that on the where, when, and how. And with what the Indiana legislature did, allowing taxes to be raised up to a small percentage.
An additional 0.2% LOIT increase.
Yeah, and it
pay
goes
for new jail structures.
To new jail structures. So,
but for me, I looked it up. It'd be about $75 a year.
That you can't bait and switch that. No. I mean, it's impossible. The way I understand the way it's set up, because it has to go to the structure. So there are people who are saying, "Hey, we can just do that, and that's how we can build a jail."
Right.
So I think we could do it differently. Again, my idea is going to take work and thinking because it's not easy. It'd be easy just to raise the tax, because then then we're taking your money. We know we're going to get it. and then we can use it how we see fit. That's
Yep.
the easy way. But I think if we go and look at our budget and maybe restructure some things, the way I was talking about earlier, maybe we could find a different way. And then there's other issues with bonding on the Justice Center, things like that we may be able to look into. Everything comes at a cost. It's not going to be easy. We're going to need rational input on how to go about this. Because here's the thing, a lot of people too, there's a comment, and I'll close this little portion on the jail. There's a lot of people that say, well, why do you need to build a jail for these people? Just let them, and you fill in the blank, right?
Yeah.
Well, I understand what they're saying, but that's not
the world we live in.
it's not proper.
Yeah.
It's not the world we live in. It's not the world the way it is. And here's the thing. Here's the part. We're in a federal lawsuit because of the conditions of the jail.
Right.
So if we do not do something,
They're going to step in.
the judge will make us do something.
And we don't have the money.
And we don't have the money. So they could close our jail. A judge could close our jail and say, you cannot have occupancy. Then we're financially responsible
Sending them somewhere else.
to send them somewhere else, which will end up costing us even more.
Right.
Plus, we're sending them away from their families. We're sending them. I mean, there's just a whole slew of things.
We got a
can talk
great
about.
shell building out there.
Yeah. That came up in the barbershop not too long ago. Dakota wants to put it in the shell building.
Yep.
Other people are starting to say it now. It's becoming a thing.
Hey,
I'm gonna keep.
we all have
pounding it.
seen what a grassroots movement can do.
Hey,
right?
yeah.
Right?
There's the proof in the
But-
pudding, man.
On the on the
This jail,
races.
this
Go
jail
ahead.
is a problem because the state has kept people in the counties.
Well, there's a lot of state issues there too.
And 91 counties are having to deal with this problem, right?
Yeah, we're not the only one. Exactly.
Yeah.
You basically are trying to solve a problem that somebody else caused for you. And I really
In
think
some
that
ways, yes.
the county, the Association of Cities and Towns, the county councils, those groups need to be marching back down to the state house saying, you caused this problem. You need to help us fix it.
Yeah.
These level
Yeah.
6s need to go to
Yeah.
state jails, and you got to not close your state jails.
Yep.
Take them back.
Right.
Once we've sentenced them,
Right.
they should be your problem, not the county's.
And there is so there is some burden there or blame there. So in Henry County particular, our building was in such disrepair and falling apart, and we were already having so many issues.
Henry County's a special case.
Yeah.
We need to do something no
Then
matter
the
what.
state changed the sentencing, and before it was actually official, Butch was sheriff at that time, and he was saying, and he was telling us, this is going to place a huge burden on the county when they do this.
Yeah.
And because of the domino effect of what it does, and without obviously going into all the details because it would take the whole show. Now we're even feeling even more of a squeeze because of that burden also, and our occupancy keeps going up. And here's the thing, and I know criminal justice reform is a huge part of libertarian platform. I love the idea of criminal justice reform. I think there's things we could do. I think there's some easy things we could do, but criminal justice is like a multi-billion-dollar business in this nation. So it's very hard because any reform that lowers inmate occupancies and things like that abroad also cuts into the financial pie.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to get reform done. And so you take a county like ours, or anywhere, any local county, we have to function under the laws that are given to us. So whether you like the law or you don't like the law, it doesn't matter. You have to function under that law. So when we go to build a jail, the honest truth is we might end up needing to build a jail larger than what we really want to, but it's a necessity based upon the current system as it is.
Well, and that's where, as a
which
county
costs more
councilman,
money.
you have the platform and the credibility to use your office.
Platform, but credibility.
Well, I mean, some of the council people have the credibility to go to go back to the State House
Yeah.
and to go to Eric Holcomb's desk and to go to Gene Lysing's desk and to go to Tom Saunders' desk and the other 150 legislators that are there and say, this is a problem, this is a real issue for our county, and we need to solve it.
Well, they did. They gave us the ability.
Yeah, they gave you the ability to raise your taxes. No, they said, here, we'll put the bullet in the gun for you, and you can pull the trigger. That's not the answer.
Yeah, right.
That's not the way this needs to work.
No, I know. Yeah.
That's the same thing that happens with wheel taxes.
So yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And so on the jail. So once this happens, hopefully it'll happen in June, and hopefully we'll be able to look at it. And then we have to start a good, healthy conversation on where, when, and how.
Yep.
And it's got to involve the community, and we need to have a rational conversation, because here's the thing: just the reality of it is, if people come screaming and shouting, they will. The tendency will be to turn a deaf ear, because we don't want to be screamed and shouted at over this issue. It's an issue that hasn't been dealt with for a very long time. There are, let's face it, there's things about the jail that have just been kicked the can down the road. That's why we have some of the problems we have now.
Yep.
But this is the problem we have, so we have to deal with it together as a community, because we're all going to be paying for it one way or another.
all right, so here's the plan.
Okay.
Here's the thought I have.
Okay.
I read in the Courier this week that the city is fining people per occurrence for cutting their grass. What
Okay.
if you send Darren out there in the county and you start telling people like Kade that they're letting their fields grow wild, that they're too tall, and then you just start finding the hell out of them.
You find every single hay field that we
Take
have.
those farmers and say
Yeah,
that grass is
really-
too tall, and then you pay for all these problems.
I'm really.
You just start
yeah,
fining them, man.
Yeah. Wow. I just had a light bulb moment.
I say we only tax the farmers.
Right.
So we did see this in the paper. There's
Yeah,
too
that's
much
right.
freedom in the city, Dakota.
Well, that's what I
what's the
wanna
story
talk
about?
I
man?
want to pick on Aaron Dickin for a little bit. Clay, we've picked on you enough.
Okay.
I want to pick
Hey,
on Aaron Dickin. I also want to pick on Mark Koger.
You'll have final thoughts if there's stuff we left out. We're coming back around
I'm trying
to
to
you.
find it.
Yeah, we'll have final thoughts at the end.
All right. So there are grass heights ordinances. 8 inches is too much for Newcastle. 8 inches or more, you're gonna get a visit. So I thought about this, and there's a person that lives on the corner on the street that the studio is on, north of Q Avenue, that hadn't mowed their yard the entire year, and like they're perfectly fine and able to. It's not like it was an elderly person or
They're very capable.
Yeah, very capable.
Why aren't you neighborly? You just
Able-bodied.
don't go down there and do it yourself.
Because he's able-bodied. If it was an elderly woman, I'd go out there. I'd offer my help.
Kate
Sexist.
just helped somebody today.
Yeah.
I was getting to the point where I thought maybe this guy knows somebody that has a few cows. He's
Mhm.
like, he can just come out here like old time with a scythe and cut it down.
Just bag it up and take it away.
Yeah, that's right. That they finally mowed it, and I was wondering, is it because Brandy Pierce was at the studio and saw it?
All those police vehicles came by.
Yeah,
and
that's what it
inspected.
was.
Thought it was code
They
enforcement.
were like, "Oh,
Spiceland Code Enforcement was on the show last week.
yeah." So that was my little theory. But no,
Could be.
this got me thinking, because obviously I'm pretty particular about my yard.
The edging out there looks incredible.
Yeah,
I want your secrets, man.
The dolls look nice.
Yeah, thanks, man. I
Clay's not on Facebook, so he doesn't know what you're talking about.
You'll have to go back to last week's episode to hear that story. But I like my yard to look nice. I like everything to look clean. So obviously I want my neighbors to look that way. But I also get to thinking about property rights, private property rights. So we talked about the penalties. It's $160 if after a written warning. You'll get a written warning in the mail. If you don't mow your yard after that, then it's $160 for the city to have somebody come out and mow it. And according to Copenhagen, the city attorney, you only have to send that letter once. So if it gets above that 8-inch threshold a second time, they can just go mow it without telling you.
You've already been warned once.
Yeah, you've already been told. So we're going to go out and do it again and keep billing you. And eventually it can turn into $200 every time and then put as a lien on your property taxes. And what the city council brought up was these aren't just normal people. These are property owners that are out of state that just don't care. So they bought the house with the intention to flip and then just stop the project halfway through. So I think I think that Jerry Walden brought up people that live in Hawaii and places like that. But anyway, that was their point being made. But at the same, so it got me thinking: would we have grass ordinances in a perfect libertarian utopia?
You have covenants, right? So in your utopia, Mr. Davis, you would have the people on your street would get together and agree that we're going to live on the street together and we're going to have these rules, and you wouldn't have the government doing it, but you would have your community that would say this is our standard, and if you're going to build a house, you're going to live on this street, you're going to abide by X.
That sounds like that sounds like a Darren Jacobs utopia.
Well, it's a covenant. That's a free agreement that you're going to do that if you're going to live in an addition.
And I think that would be awesome because that's the private people. That's just people working together in a relationship. But is that possible?
So the part of this that really, like, I understand the fine. I understand all of that stuff. I understand why they do it. But the part that got me was putting a lien on your property.
Government always comes to force.
Could it come down to they seize your property, they seize your home and the land that you own because you just didn't cut your freaking grass? Like, that's insane to me. That is totally insane to me.
At the core, government is force, right? Anytime somebody like Clay raises taxes or does something, government is force, right?
Yeah.
At the end of it, Brandy and Matt have to show up and enforce the laws that the state or the county puts in place.
Which we talked about last week. The state puts them in needless danger.
The state gives the city the authority to pass an ordinance, and then it builds over time, and you ignore it, and you ignore it, and you ignore it. And all of a sudden, you have a $5,000 tax lien on your house, and a sheriff's deputy has to show up at your house, and you have a conflict situation.
Yep.
And that could escalate. So anytime the government is involved, it creates force. So you only want to use government when there's somebody's using force or fraud against somebody else.
Yeah, and we see.
That's the basic libertarian side of that.
I don't know how much you guys see it, but I see it all the time in news stories in groups that I'm in, where people like in places like Seattle and Portland have decided to grow vegetables and things in their front yard and places, and then the city ends up coming by and like fining them and then cutting it all down. So basically, it got me thinking, should we start, should I plant some rows of corn in the front yard?
You could.
That would be hilarious.
You don't have enough ground to pollinate, man. You're going to have to
be out there.
I've got a 4-row planter. I'll just bring it by and we'll get some corn planted.
That's right.
I did actually have a row of corn in my front yard.
We got like a week.
Did you
a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
it's getting
you
late
lived in the city.
corn.
I sure did.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get it in before the end of the month.
Did it get over 8 inches tall?
Oh yeah. It was about 6 feet tall.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We had the redneck front yard for sure. Yeah.
And
on that side of Main Street or on that side of Broad. I mean,
of course.
It's the Wild West.
It is.
The north side of town. You guys can do what you want.
But yeah, we had a full-fledged garden in our front yard. Anyways.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My grandma lives in the city, and she's got a nice big garden in her backyard. So,
what's going on with 14th Street and 38? You got a report on that?
I do have a little bit of a report on that. So this is a city council recap, and Jerry Walden talked a little bit about that. Jerry really congratulated Mayor York, commended him for his efforts of calling out NDOT, or NDON'T if you listened to last week's episode. And he said, I think it's awesome. Really happy about this because, that heart of that area is Jerry's district, Mr. Walden's district. Yeah. And also wanted to point out that there has been progress started on the 1400 Plaza. So looks like we might be getting 14th Street back sometime soon.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to do that.
But
so the mayor's unhappy that NDOT chose in their design that they went with, instead of asphalt, they went with concrete.
Right.
A lot of times the state will come in and they will say, in higher traffic areas, we're going to use concrete because as you have truck traffic, asphalt typically tends to give and shift, and the road surface doesn't remain solid. Mm-hmm. So your urban areas, a lot of times especially where you do have truck traffic and it's the state road, you'll see concrete come in. Mm-hmm. Not sure why he's surprised by it. that decision was made 2 years ago before the job even bid.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure. It's hard to get to the end of the house. If you're having your house worked on, and you get to the end and they just put a brand new roof on, you say, "Oh, I thought it was going to be blue, but it's a black roof." You knew that when you bought the stuff, right? I mean, it's the same. It's the same deal.
Well,
I was really surprised when I saw that one.
it's partial. Yeah, it's that, but it's also about the quality of the work, and a lot of it has to do. A lot of it boils down to the use of third-party contractors. So we're
Well, the state doesn't build roads, right?
Right.
They'll maintain them, but they're always going to, they're
but
basically a job
it's
like that.
sending cheaper people down than what they could have.
No, I don't think that's the case. That might be what people perceive, but there's a job like that. There's 3 bidders. There's like 3 bidders that would have bid that job: Milestone, EMB Paving, or Reith Riley. There's only 3 companies in Central Indiana that would do that job. Every one of them do great work, and they do work all over the state of Indiana. So the state says, "Here's the spec book. Here's what we're going to have you build." And they give everybody the same drawings. Milestone got the job. INDOT has inspectors out there looking at it every day, and they're not going to take title or take receipt of that job until the state standards are met.
So why do we have the issues that we're having now? I mean, if they all do such great work, why are we having curbs that are breaking and holes in the road already?
I don't think that the state has finished the job yet. They'll do a final punch list, just like if you're
Well,
like
I mean,
if you're
they might
building
not
a
have finished the
house.
whole job, but there's curbs that were poured, like they were brand new and they have already broken.
Yeah,
Like
so a
why?
truck might have hit them, or the job's not done. That's like saying, you're remodeling a house,
Yeah.
and you're not happy with the fit and finish of drywall. Well, I haven't given you the keys to the house back yet, so don't come at me yelling at me about the
well,
house
if you
until
tell
I say I'm
me
done
if
with
you
it.
tell me, hey, the bedroom is done, and I go in there and I say this looks like crap, it obviously it's not done, dude. So
Yeah.
you need to fix it.
They haven't finished the job yet.
But
they
they've
haven't
said
given
that
the keys
area
back.
is done. They said this is finished.
INDOT won't close a contract out on a highway. If you're building a new roadway, INDOT won't close a contract out with a contractor until the grass grows. Like it'll
Right,
be
yeah,
months
that's
later.
insane.
Okay, it's not done. So INDOT's still involved in the thing, and until they complete their punch list, I would be patient. I think once again, people are getting excited over something they really don't need to yet. But that's my view. I only work in the road construction business. I don't know anything.
All right, I think that's all we have. Clay, I can
It
see you
could be a
stewing
very
over there.
long final thought. I mean, yeah.
I was gonna say I
All
can
right,
see you
Clay.
stewing.
No more than an hour and a half.
Okay, great. Are we there?
Yeah,
We're
you're there.
there.
Final
We're
thoughts.
ready.
Final thoughts. No, I just wanted to hit on the raises for deputies, because I didn't get to hit on that as we were walking that dog through the park there. Is it the right time? I'll say I understand that it definitely could be an inconvenient time with all the talk that's going on right now, and especially with everything that I've talked about with the LOIT and the general fund and what are we going to do. But is it time? I would say yes, because, and Jeremiah hit on it, our department is becoming a training ground for officers.
Right.
So we spend a large amount of money on officers, training them, and then they may stay for a year, maybe, and then they can get on. I have a couple state officers that are clients, and one of them especially, actually I have 3 that I can think of off the top of my head now, but couple
They
of
started
them,
as county merit deputies.
Exactly. No, but they have told me like they are actively seeking out good officers, and they just got an extreme raise, which we're not going to be able to match that.
Right.
But the guys I've talked to on the force, they don't expect that, but they are looking at this as like, hey, what about us? I mean, just in the past 12 months, we've had officers shot at. We've had, shot. Brandy Pierce was actually shot. Then we have another officer that a guy tried to hit with a car. So, I mean, they're putting themselves out there, and
They were both in this room last week.
I felt the presence. But anyways, so, the thing is, we do need to do more. We do need to respect what they do. We do need to look at this seriously and not treat it as just another pay raise, if you will. because it's apples and oranges. When we look at the whole county, we're dealing with apples and oranges. We have to look at this totally separate from everyone else. And two, here's the other aspect of it is what we're looking at is this as a graduated metric system. Because right now, under the current system, we have guys that might have 2 years in to 20 years in, and their salaries are almost identical.
Right.
There's no real
So it
great
would be pay
incentive
raises
there.
based on seniority, how long you've been there, things like that.
What's that?
It would be based on seniority.
Yeah.
Like,
So
worked for
an
5
idea
years or
that was
whatever.
floated, at that meeting was once an officer has 5 years in, a raise of $250 for the year, and then $250 each additional year after that.
Okay.
So there would be quite a bit of a distinction between a 5-year officer and a 20-year officer.
But it sounds like your retention problem is that guy that's been there 12 months to 60 months. Right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. And especially now in this current environment, because they get trained. And here's the thing.
You're probably not going to lose a 12-year officer to the state police.
Right, exactly. And that's where they're at. We have guys and gals right now that are just like, look, this is where we're at. We love the county. We've got so much time in. This is where we're staying. We'd appreciate it if you could acknowledge that, right? But we have younger officers that are like, man, I can go down the road, or I can just move over to the city and instantly have a $2,000 to $3,000 raise. So that's realistically where we're at, and we could potentially lose some very good officers, because I like our officers. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of them. I get along with them great.
They come in for haircuts all the time.
They come in for haircuts. It's great. But I hear from our state guys that we have some of the best in the area, in the state. I mean, the city guys compliment our county guys. I mean, we have a real solid county sheriff's department. We really do. We have some great officers. And we could lose them. We could lose some of them.
And we don't want to see that happen.
And I just don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not sure I like the $250 plan because I don't think it's sophisticated enough. I think you need to go in and really do an analysis of it.
Mm-hmm.
In my view, I think the $250 is kind of a Band-Aid. We have the money and we think we can do this and make people happy, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that matches what you're seeing in other departments.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know about other departments, and I haven't looked into that, and I haven't done a deep dive into it, obviously. But I was happy to see that we was at least ready to start the conversation, because this is one of the. I mean, honestly, again, I may not run in 2020, but at the LOIT meeting, I wanted to go.
20 minutes ago, he's definitely not running. Now he's, maybe I'll run. True Politico.
But at the LOIT meeting, it was sickening, some of it, because, one, there were some things floating around that I thought were going to be brought up at that meeting, and it had to do with more switching funds. Because we've had a couple regular council meetings that was supposed to come to the meeting, come before us. Well, last minute, they decided not to do it.
Who's they? Silence. All right.
Yeah. No, I seriously,
Yeah.
I mean,
You don't know.
Here's what I do know, okay? I do know that there was a commissioner that was involved in a meeting with 3 council people. There's 1 commissioner, the auditor, and the sheriff, and the matron. They had a meeting discussing LOIT funds. From what I heard, the commissioner involved in that meeting wanted to do some kind of switching around with LOIT money. What was on a document at our last council meeting, what was actually documented on the outline, was a resolution to reduce jail meals by $206,000. Now, I keep in decent communication with the sheriff, and so right before the meeting, I saw this on there, and it didn't sound like something the sheriff was doing. Because in my communication, I figured I would have been told this. So I called them, and they told me basically that this was some kind of idea. They didn't get the details on exactly what was going to happen, but they said this is just some kind of idea that they came up with at that meeting they were at. And the sheriff let me know that he was willing to be cooperative if it was something that was temporary. He's willing to be a cooperative partner, a team player. He's
Yeah, he is.
very good at
He
that.
is. Yeah.
But he said he cautioned me because he didn't want to get, again, pin in the LOIT money that puts him in a pinch. Because there's a lot of things that's been happening in the sheriff department that there's some people that want to make it look like it's his fault, when honestly it's not his fault at all. He's just being put in a very tight situation. Okay? So anyways, we come to the meeting. We come to the meeting, and right before the meeting, I'm told, because I'm trying to frantically find some information to kind of fight this, right? Because I don't want any more switching money around. And I was just told it was decided to not talk about it, but that we needed to have a special meeting where all the council, all the commissioners, the sheriff, everybody was at the table. We could throw everything out there in front of everybody, so all of us would know what was going on and we would all have our say. So that's what I came to that special LOIT meeting planning to do.
Expecting.
Is talk about that.
And that's not what came up.
We get there. That's not even mentioned. I don't even know if they're even thinking about doing it anymore. And they bring up pay raises for deputies.
Right.
And and they ask for comment. I'm sitting there thinking, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm just going to keep quiet because I know they get tired of hearing me talk. But then they asked, so I answered. And I'll spare you everything I said, but what I did mention this fact that I guess I won't spare you all of it, but I said I'm glad. I said I'm glad that we brought
Just remember,
this up.
no souls are saved after 38 minutes.
I said I'm glad we brought this up because this is what I was talking about at the budget meetings.
Yeah.
This is what I was advocating for at the budget meetings. But everybody else was talking about how we couldn't do it.
Right. Yeah.
But now some of the very people that were in that budget meeting fighting me on it are now saying, "Oh, these guys are great. We need to do this." And I'm like, "Where were you at just a few months ago?" So anyways, I can be bitter or I could be better, right? I'm just glad we brought it up. I'm glad the conversation started, and I would love to have someone on the council with me that can stop the flow of, because I'm very emotional, obviously, and I do get intense into some of this stuff that I really care about, but it's nice to have somebody that says, "Okay, Clay, hold on a second, stop. You're not looking at it thoroughly enough like you just did." And so it would be awesome to have somebody like that on the council to say, "I agree with X, Y, and Z, but let's look at it from this angle."
Yep.
That's what we need to do. We need to have an open adult conversation, express ideas across the board, and then make a decision. But so many times we just rush through things and we make knee-jerk reactions. And honestly, we haven't put ourselves in a position yet.
That's why the
As
meetings
a
need to
county.
be at a different time, right?
What's that?
That's why the meetings need to be at a different time, right?
And that will probably change. That will probably change. Like I said, I go from the minority to the majority now. So I don't know if I'll get my day, but the time may change where more
gonna-
people could be there.
We're gonna get him on another rant. if
All
we're
right,
not
Clay.
So
careful.
anyway,
How do
okay.
people follow you? What if they want to,
Yeah.
Councilman Clay on Facebook now?
So I have a Facebook page. That way I don't have to scroll through stuff. And because if I have a profile, I'll scroll through
You could
stuff.
get
And I
triggered.
don't want to. Yeah. So I just don't go there. But I do have a page. It's Clay Morgan Councilman. I have 2 pages, but Clay Morgan Councilman is the one that I
That's
just
your political. Yeah,
try to focus on
you're
political
serving from that side. That's not you're not running for anything right now, so you're not
right,
gonna,
exactly. And then I have Twitter at Clay Morgan 7.
All right.
So
Thanks for coming back, man.
thanks for letting me rant a little bit. It feels good to vent.
Man, we're gonna charge MVP for some therapy.
Phew.
Discounted haircuts for everybody. All right, Kade. Final thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, just a couple things. I know as a farmer myself, we're almost through the planting season. I think most of us are wrapping up or getting close. So I just want to say congrats to all the farmers out there listening in their tractors. It's a good season so far. So
Need some rain.
need a little bit
Just
more
not
rain
on Sunday.
periodically, but yeah, otherwise we've had a pretty good start to the growing season. So that's good. And I didn't have any cars run me off the road, and I didn't run any cars off the road, so that's always a good
That's a
thing.
plus.
That's a draw.
Yeah. So, other than that, a couple updates for me. You were talking earlier about your diet. I'm
You're looking good.
knocking
time I
on.
see you, you're
I'm
in a
knocking on
smaller shirt.
130 pounds down. So,
That's awesome.
if
dude.
anybody out there's wanting to start this journey like me and Jeremiah have, if you got any questions, please feel free to get a hold of me. I'd love to help you out. Sell Advocare products too. So if there's anything there that you want to ask
Because
questions
it
on,
works.
we might be able to help you out there.
Maybe he wants to get another pyramid. We have some opportunities down there towards the middle.
One more. I just recently I just earned my second stripe at jiu-jitsu, so I've been doing that too. So I'm pretty proud of that.
You're in there all the time now, right?
So, yeah, I normally go 2 to 3 nights a week, and I really enjoy that. So
He's gonna open up a studio in Newcastle before too long.
Casino and BJJ, yeah.
yeah. And then last thing, since Chase isn't here, I figured we'd talk a little bit something national, a little more in the sports.
Yeah,
The well-timed announcement from the NFL.
Trump got his way, man.
Yeah. The rule change with they're going to start finding people on the field if they're not standing for the national anthem. So
Wow.
I was just wanted to hear your guys' opinion on that real quick. If you've got anything to say about that, I know I posted on my Facebook, and sometimes I do that to kind
I
of.
think you just said this is dumb.
Yeah.
Well, I like to get people's opinion. You know what I mean? And sometimes
yeah.
if I have to be the devil's advocate to get that, I like to do that. So, but I had a lot of people comment back, and it's good to hear people's opinions on that. So
There's a couple sides to that for me, and I'll be pretty brief because I don't want to drag the show on too long. But I believe in free
Sorry.
association, right? It's fine, Clay. We're glad to have you, man. You haven't been on the show in 30 episodes. We have to give you your opportunity. You can't stay away that long. We believe in free association, right? So, the guys that work for you, you can fire them at any time.
Yeah.
And they can quit at any time if they want to. Obviously, there's only one National Football League, but you could go play football somewhere else. You could be an athlete somewhere else. You can make money. You just happen to choose to play for the, San Diego the Los Angeles Chargers, or the Indianapolis Colts, or the New York Jets.
Don't tell me you don't have enough money to retire at that point. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, so regardless of that, you choose to play for that team, and you have a contract with that team and to play in that league.
Yeah.
I wish that the NFL didn't have government money in it, so it'd be a totally pure market where
Right.
we have special tax breaks we give the NFL. We have municipalities that give money for stadiums. We as a general public, we cut some breaks that I don't think we should do. Ignoring that, I believe in free association. So if an employer wants to say that these are the rules to work here, then those are the rules to work here.
Yep.
That said, people that attend the games and watch the games can also vote with their pocketbook. So if they don't like what's happening and they say, no, those players should be able to express themselves however they want to, don't go to the games, don't buy the jerseys, don't show up at the stadiums, don't watch them, don't support them.
just like a lot of people did whenever the kneeling was going on.
Yeah.
Right. That's the reality of it. The league can have whatever rules they want to, and I don't care.
Yeah. The only thing, I wish that it had really been left up to the owners of
Mhm.
the teams, because of what he brought up with there
Mhm.
being, it's just the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Like-
so the owners hire a commissioner, and the commissioner made
Right.
a decision.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen. I think it would have been neat to see different teams have different policies.
In our
I think
state,
we-
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
market.
yeah, I just think it
I
would've
think
been
we might
interesting
even
to
see some owners and CEOs come out and say that they'll assume the fines. if
the
they're
owner
played-
of the
if they're
Jets
played
has said
extra.
that now.
Yeah.
The owner of the Jets.
The Johnson family, Woody Johnson's kid. For whatever reason, his kid is running the team now. So the Jets say they'll do that. It also has some competition impact. You can have 15-yard penalties as well, so it's not just a financial contribution.
Really?
But
I
there's
didn't know
15-yard
that.
penalties
Didn't
as
know
well,
that
so
part.
it will affect competition.
Yeah.
That said, if you have in the NFL, offsetting penalties just don't mean anything. So if the Jets have a penalty and the Giants have a penalty, then
Yeah.
it doesn't mean anything at all either.
Right, yeah.
So you've got opportunities for mischief there.
And you have to be on the field. So if they wanted to remain in the locker
If you want
room,
to stay in the locker room, you're free to do that as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, okay.
But realize this national anthem and the flags out on the field is just like the in NASCAR you had the National Guard car. Dale Jr. Drove the
Yeah.
National Guard car. That was military promotion that that Congress authorized. That's the same thing that's happening in the NFL. That's why I said that you
Yeah.
get government money here. It's not. They're not doing that stuff because
Out of the kindness of their heart.
because the NFL owners are that patriotic.
Mhm.
It's a paid advertisement for the United States of America.
Yep.
Otherwise, they'd probably just do a quick pledge of allegiance and be done, or a national anthem. But the over the top pageantry that you have and the overt patriotism is because they're getting a check.
Yeah.
And now it looks bad for their sponsor. So the owners are saying we're going to do this, but it's all wrapped in the flag, so it gets tricky.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I agree with what you guys are saying stuff. I hate that. I hate we're this divided. Again, it's the world we live in.
Oh, people turned it into a race thing too.
I just hate that our
Oh, it was
nation
a race
as a
thing from the
whole
beginning. That's why
is
they were
just this
protesting.
divided.
Yeah. Colin Kaepernick, he's not an NFL quarterback because he's not good enough to be an NFL quarterback.
I
He didn't get
agree.
blacklisted.
Yeah.
He was a backup when all this happened.
He
I
was-
mean,
He was already on the. He was already
Yeah.
one of the last guys on a roster, not starting. If it was Ben Roethlisberger or Tom Brady and he did that, he'd still be playing. He'd be on a roster, but he's not good enough to make a roster. And if you're a marginal guy, you're not worth the hassle. Tim Tebow's the same thing.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's
they'll
just,
just move
just the way it
on.
goes.
They will. They'll just move on.
Anything else?
Nope. I think that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
The Armed Farmer.
Sorry for taking all your time, Kade.
No, it's okay.
I need to quit apologizing, don't I?
I'm not sorry for having you on the show.
Because I was looking forward to you being on here. I'm like, all right, I'm on with Kade.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
fine. I think we covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. So
That
it's
was a good episode.
Yeah.
All right, my final thoughts. I want to talk a little bit about Jonathan Lamb. Yeah.
He's got your back.
So
He got in some trouble.
yeah, he's in some trouble right now, in some hot water with the Indiana Attorney General's office.
Man, you could put a phone call in for him, man. That's your guy. Aren't you
Yeah,
close personal friends with
I'll
the
call
Attorney General?
Yeah, I'll call Curtis up.
so
You can maybe get him to stop
Yeah,
picking on
that's
people
right.
over plants.
yeah, that too. So apparently, between the hours of 7 and 8 p.m. on Monday, May the 7th, there were tens of thousands of calls, robocalls, that were placed to voters in congressional district number 6, and the caller ID came up. It said restricted, and if someone answered, nothing happened. They immediately hung up. If it went to voicemail, it was a message from Jonathan Lamb saying, "Hey, this is Jonathan Lamb. Just want to send you a reminder. Get out to the polls for me tomorrow on May the 8th. Whatever." Well, it turns out that robocalls, the night before the primary election, is
Frowned
very,
upon.
very illegal. So,
But
however,
it's
yeah.
not a robocall.
However, yeah, they say, so this is all coming from the cheat sheet that is ran by Abdul.
Abdul
and-
Hakim Shabazz.
Yep. And he reached out to the Lamb campaign, asked them, what was going on. And they said, these were voicemail drops, not robocalls, so they're fine. So there's a little loophole in there. But it'll be interesting to see how far Curtis Hill takes it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he has a personal vendetta against Jonathan Lamb and just really likes Greg Pence.
No, I like Jonathan.
I did too.
I haven't got a hold of him yet since the loss. I'm trying to wait, give a little time there.
Yeah.
But I was getting ready to actually. I pulled out what shirt am I going to wear on the show today? I pulled out my drawer and I was like There's my lamb shirt. Should I wear it?
I had one sitting out for you on the counter downstairs.
I
Did
saw
you see
that.
it?
I
Yeah.
saw that.
I was hoping
I
you'd put it
saw that.
on. No, but and then my second
nice
final
guy.
thought is I talked to Nate Lamar today. He's doing all right. I like Nate, and I would be looking for his name on future ballots.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've seen the last of Nate Lamar.
I cut his hair today. He's
Did you?
preparing for. He's speaking at the Memorial Day event.
Monday at the
9
courthouse?
o'clock event. Yeah, at the courthouse.
All right, that's my final thoughts.
Very cool. Patreon, man. We got that
That's right.
Patreon group. That's the lifeblood of the show. That's what keeps us going. There's special content out there. You see a little
Yep.
bit behind the scenes, not political stuff, just some fun.
Yeah, if you want to keep this show ad free, then you got to get on there. If not, we're gonna start having to say this episode of Boss Hog Liberty is brought to you by MVP Barbershop. If you want to hear that
LNK
every
produce.
episode, yeah, that's right. Unless you want to start hearing that stuff, then you got to get on there.
It's Christmas for me, man.
Yep.
I'm not going back to work till Tuesday. Carb day tomorrow.
Sweet.
Gonna drink some beers at the track, watch some Indy cars. First time I've seen Indy cars all year, doing 235 miles an hour into turn 1. Gonna watch Blues Traveler Monday afternoon, or Friday afternoon, and then get Memorial Day, the celebration of Memorial Day, on Sunday, and the world's greatest. It is the largest gathering of people anywhere in the world that's not a religious event. Anytime, anywhere in the world, it's the biggest
Really?
assembly of people that's not for religion,
That's pretty
See,
cool.
and it happens
I love
in
all
Marion
these
County,
little
Indiana.
Facts,
Yeah.
I mean, all through the show, you're spitting out facts. You're just spitting knowledge,
That's what I'm here for, man.
like a rapper.
Can you imagine what it'd be like if you're sitting next to me at a council meeting?
Oh, I know, right? We could be sitting right next to each other.
It's plausible.
Yes, yes.
By the way, if people want to help out with that, Jeremiah Morrell /political, or Jeremiah Morrell /candidate on the old Facebook.
Or you can
That
find
donate
his,
button helps. It works.
Or you can find his candidate profile on henrycountylp.org.
There we go.
Mm.
All kinds of ways. Just Google me.
Yep.
I was in the Winchester paper yesterday. I was like, how'd that happen? Cool. All over the place. At Jeremiah Morrell on Twitter. We really appreciate this. Everybody watching the show. This is fun. We reinvent ourselves all the time. We went super, super local, doing the political, following the primary.
Yeah.
Hope people have enjoyed that. In the next few weeks, you're going to see us pivoting a little bit. We're still going to be the same guys, but we're kind of focusing on the arts side of the world here for a minute. We're going to look at some local culture. So next week it's going to be Eldon Pitts, and we're going to talk about the Catherine movie, about the Catherine Winters who disappeared from Henry County over 100 years ago. There's a movie that was made, and we're going to talk about that and what it's like to make a movie in Henry County, the play that they've done. We're going to follow that story. Then we're going to have the guys from Emmis Communications, 1070 The Fan. Joey Bolinero and his partner are going to be here. You know him if you listen to Sports Talk Radio in Indianapolis at all. You know Joey. He has the Espresso podcast, so they're going to come up in the first episode in June.
Cool.
And then Councilman Dick Bauslag and Aaron Dickon are going to be on the following week, and we're going to talk about Robert, Indiana, and their trip that they made up to Maine. Robert, Indiana, passed away yesterday, I guess. So we're going to spend some time remembering him a little bit. Big impact in Henry County on the art side. So, and then past that, who knows? We'll see.
Councilman Bauslag knows a lot about Robert, Indiana. He is a wealth of knowledge there.
When
I'm
they
looking
made that
forward to
trip,
that
I
one.
really, really enjoyed following along with those guys, and I'm looking forward to having that on the Boss Hog platform for people to know the story.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Because it was a very unique opportunity for them to get to go.
Yeah, he's a neat guy.
All right, that's the end of it. We're gonna be back next week. You guys enjoy Memorial Day weekend, and we'll see you soon.